Am I the antagonist for disagreeing with how much my BF thinks he should get from the sale of my house? I, female 37, just sold my house that I bought with my ex-husband 4 years ago. In our divorce, I was awarded 100% of the equity from the sale if I chose to sell. A year after our divorce, I decided I wanted to sell and will make a 6-figure profit. My, male 49, boyfriend has lived with me for only the last year. 5 of those months, he paid the whole mortgage, and for 7 of them we split it 50-50. He's a contractor and has done some repairs on the house, like a leak, and repainted a few things. He did them so we could sell the house and because it was in his skill set. At the time, he was happy to do them. At one point, we got into a pretty big fight because we thought we might keep the house, and he wanted to be on the deed, but I felt uncomfortable doing that mainly because I had paid for the down payment, improvements on the home before he came along, and as the main breadwinner in my marriage, the majority of the mortgage for 3 years as well. We eventually decided not to go forward with it. I should mention in this fight he threatened to leave, toss drawers on the floor, etc. It got pretty heated, but we eventually moved past it. Now that the house is sold, I agreed he should get a percentage. He originally said 12% seemed fair, essentially 1/2 of 1 year's mortgage payments. However, when I went to talk to him about it with the figures and numbers all worked out on paper, he's changed his tune. He thinks he should get more like 20%, and even went so far as to say that any reasonable person would just give their partner half, and you're being really greedy. It turned into an argument where he ended by saying he would never purchase with me in the future if this is how I do business, and if we did purchase anything, it wouldn't be 50-50, and that I should expect to pay 75% of what we do next. Now, I could absolutely be looking at this wrong, but I don't think he's entitled to 50% or 20%. I think 15% is fair. And what bothers me most is his comments about our future and that he said many times that his money is my money. But now all of a sudden, if we buy a new house, I'm somehow on the hook for more than half, even though he makes more money than I do. I'm really looking at this sale as my life savings since my divorce all but cleaned me out financially. I just feel that I put way more into this than he has, and therefore I should get more of a return. Legally, his name was not on anything here, so he can't really demand anything, but I'm still willing to pay out something. Am I being the greedy one here? Not the antagonist, and find yourself a better partner. His violent behavior and possessive attitude towards money are huge red flags. His accusations of greed are a projection. Listen to the signs and break up with him before financial abuse becomes your future. You were smart to keep him off the deed. He sounds like an abusive grifter. Let him go and use your earnings to invest in your own place. Am I the antagonist for not attending my friend's wedding because I can't afford it? My friend, 30 years old female, invited me, 28 years old female, and my partner to her wedding a little bit over 6 months ago. We'll call her Beth. I have known Beth for around 2 years. I met her online as I had just moved to a new city in a country that's not my home country, and she happened to be from the same city I am, and we have a lot in common. Music, food, hobbies. Since we're both living away from home and have a lot in common, we saw each other almost every week. From the beginning of us becoming friends, she told me how her boyfriend, we'll call him James, had proposed, but they had been delaying the wedding due to personal reasons, although they were finally in a position to consider it again, and they still wanted to get married. I thought good for them. Happy to see my friend happy. As we grew closer to each other, I thought she might invite us to the wedding. My partner has met Beth but never James. I have only seen him a couple of times myself. So when I mentioned a possible wedding invite, he said he wouldn't know anyone, not even the bride and groom, so he said I might have to go on my own. Due to other unrelated life events, me and my boyfriend decided we want to move back to our home country this summer. We told Beth, and after this, she officially invited us to the wedding. It will be this summer, a month or so before we have to move out. And it's going to be in our home country as that's where her family is, but not in the city we are from, somewhere else. When we found out all details, it became obvious to us we couldn't afford to go to a wedding in a different country the month before we move out. We would have to pay for flights, accommodation, transport, outfits, and of course a wedding present, right before we also have to pay for moving boxes, a deposit, flights to move back, and all of the moving out arrangements. At this point, my boyfriend definitely said he wasn't coming with me. As I've mentioned, I barely know James and I don't know anyone else that's attending the wedding either. So it would be just me traveling on my own with money. I don't have to not even spend time with Beth and James, as they'll be with everyone. Beth is really disappointed in me and told me I know this is the most important day of her life, and that she would be there for mine. I tried to explain to her I'm also going through a major life event moving back home. I told her I'd never ask anyone to spend money they don't have for me. I said she'd be surrounded by people she loves on her big day, and she'll enjoy it without me, someone who, to be fair, she's only known for less than 2 years. We had this conversation over text messages cause she canceled on me on the day we were meeting, and then decided to call me out on why I hadn't RSVP'd, which I was going to explain in person. She ended the conversation saying she found the whole thing pointless and has not reached out again in a couple of weeks now. So, am I the antagonist for not attending Beth's wedding? Not the antagonist. If you don't have the money, then that's it. You shouldn't go into debt for something you can't afford. Just let her be for now. You apologized for her feeling bad, but this isn't your fault. She will hopefully get over it, or prove she isn't that good of a friend if she doesn't realize some people don't have a lot of money to throw around. Continue showing grace. Send her a nice gift with a sweet message of how you appreciate the time you spent together, and that you look forward to celebrating with her someday when you both can meet again. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Friends are seasonal. Very few journey the entire way, so move on and work on your new circle of friends once you move. Boyfriend keeps setting fitness challenges for me with extravagant rewards, but it's driving me insane. My boyfriend, Mark, and I have been together for about a year and a half. When we met, I was severely underweight, as I've struggled with an eating disorder for over a decade. Mark didn't judge me and still told me I was beautiful, sexy. Despite the challenges, he encouraged me to recover to a healthy weight over the past year. I am 5'6" and went from 100 to 125 pounds. Although I still struggle with body dysmorphia, I try to stay active in my recovery. Initially, Mark's efforts to help me eat healthy and stay active had positive effects on my life, but it's beginning to overwhelm me. Mark and I have a traditional relationship where I stay at home, and he goes to work with a significant salary. Early on, Mark realized that my love language is receiving gifts, so he would establish health fitness challenges in exchange for nice things. However, these challenges are starting to put a strain on our relationship, making me question their purpose. Most recently, Mark has insisted that I join him at the gym in the morning, which is a deal breaker for me as my morning routines are essential. He even went as far as taking away credit cards he entrusted me with to manage our errands. I pondered that he might resent my lifestyle as he works and I stay home, so I pursued a real estate license but eventually had to return home due to lack of success. Despite my efforts to appease him by working out consistently, Mark continues to press me to accompany him to the gym in the mornings. This has caused a rift in our relationship, especially when he expressed doubts about marrying me due to my perceived lack of discipline. He framed this as a concern for raising children in the future. Additionally, a recent challenge he issued requiring me to achieve certain physical feats is triggering my eating disorder and causing me distress. While I have maintained good physical shape, the pressure from Mark to meet unrealistic fitness goals is putting a strain on me mentally and emotionally. I'm struggling to understand the purpose of these challenges and whether they are worth pursuing. I feel conflicted and overwhelmed by the demands placed on me. I need advice on how to navigate this situation and address these concerns in my relationship. It sounds like you are in an unhealthy pet-slave dynamic that could be worsening your mental health, especially in terms of your ed issues. If the rules of the relationship no longer serve you, it's important to have a conversation with your partner about changing them. If he refuses to take your concerns seriously, it might be time to reevaluate the relationship. This dynamic is not healthy for your well-being and self-esteem, so don't be afraid to set boundaries and stand up for yourself. My mom used me to control my dad and then basically sold me to him. I, 22 female, made a post a couple of weeks ago about my mother, 54 female, taking a picture of my identification and getting upset because I didn't appreciate her doing that. Why is my identification in your phone to prove a point to me? I ended up having to lock my credits. She went to jail for a year for fraud when I was 3 years old. But today is worse. I thought I was imagining this all of these years, until my 2 sisters she gave away to their grandmother confronted her about something similar today. When I was younger, she would use me against my dad, threaten him to never see me again. He isn't exactly great either, but basically in 2016, when I was 14 we were in Walmart and I overheard them talking. And she asked him for money, she said. Thanks, you can keep her however long you want. I thought I was imagining this all of these years. My sisters and I were separated as children. I only saw them a few times, but as we got older, we got closer as they lived with their grandmother. They also got closer with Nam, and we never had the conversation of her giving them away and never coming around. On FaceTime, they mentioned their grandmother said one of my sisters, 24 female, showed up with holes in her underwear. They also mentioned how they saw a letter to their grandmother from my mom asking for payment from grandmother. Nam goes, maybe a letter from me to her as I was paying, and they said, no, you got paid. She wasn't trying to hear them out. She also gets jealous that they call their grandmother, Mama, and calls her by her first name. Another one of my sisters, now 36, said she was molested when she was younger by Nam's ex-boyfriend, but Nam didn't believe her. Even her husband mentioned this to my mom during an argument saying, my wife said she told you she was molested, and you didn't believe her. My Nam's ex-boyfriend is the same man that said if she walked by him again in an attempt to start drama, he would kill her. She bothered him, and I saw him stab her in the chest and hit her with a shovel when I was 3. I also have very vivid memory of him watching me bath and being in the bed with him. It's nothing more than that, just those quick pictures of memory, but I won't accuse him of doing anything to me. I have a sister I never met that lives in California with her father since she was a kid. She is now 33. My mom messed up my credit and I had to dispute an $800 debt when I turned 18. I am working on moving out by the end of the year. She is hard to deal with. I couldn't get a job until I was 19 because she has been in government housing, social security insurance since I was a kid. I have only ever known her to have one job and one car my entire life. She also tried to tell the psychiatrist I was crazy when I was a kid because I was acting out, and she promised me candy when I was 5 to lie that I was crazy to get a check from the government, and she basically took over the whole time and made me shut up. I was forced to wear glasses I didn't need. Now I really need them. I was diagnosed with stuff and thrown into behavioral health and diagnosed with anger problems and other things. I was forced to take medicine for these behavioral issues so she could paint me as be crazy for money when I was really going through abuse and burnout from my dad and her. I'm so sorry that your mom has put you through so much. Your mom is not a safe person for you to be around. Prioritize yourself and what you need now. Look up gray rocking and put her on an info diet. Be prepared that your mom may try to sabotage your ability to move out, so make sure to get all your documents to a safe place with difficult passwords. It may be best to cut her out of your life completely and go completely no contact for as long as possible to start your healing journey. Also, consider looking into Munchausen by proxy, as her motivations may be more than just seeking attention. Please stop talking. For context, I work for a call center. We handle customer questions, complaints, and help process transactions on the person's account. Also on mobile, so apologies for formatting too long. Didn't read at the end because this one might not be light reading. Third call of the day, I receive a distressed lady who is needing to take out a withdrawal to help pay for rent because she received a notice to vacate. I give my usual greeting and let her know I'll be helping her today. I set up my plan of going over her contact information and then providing information on any withdrawal availability. I start with confirming her address and all hell breaks loose. I drowned her goldfish, I ran over her dog, and I mowed over her bunny rabbits in the backyard. She proceeded to scream at me when I attempted to give her instructions on how to update the address. She told me very boldly that she will not be calling anyone and that it is my job to fix the problem. Due to her employment status, I am unable to update address information, and we have to send them back to their HR for an update. I kept trying to explain it to her on why I couldn't, but she wouldn't listen. When I was finally able to get a word in, I explained to her that I would be unable to process her withdrawal request for her reasons stated. Due to an IRS guideline, the address on file must match the address on the notice. Since it does not, I could not help her. Oh boy, she then started screaming at me. She kept telling me that it's my fault this happened and that I need to fix this situation. Now my job has a zero tolerance for escalated participants. I could have easily put her on hold and reached out to our escalations team. I decided that I would keep the call because she wasn't threatening me in any way, just being unreasonable. I attempted again to give her information on who she could speak with, but she kept talking over me. I finally hear her blurt out, "Stop talking. You talk too much and you're not answering my questions." Cue the malicious compliance. I went silent. She started talking and asked questions. I didn't say a peep. I should have put her on hold, but I decided to see what else she had to say while I was doing what she asked. After a few minutes, I honestly thought she was going to hang up. I finally chimed in. "Oh, did you want me to speak now? Because earlier you didn't want to hear what information I was trying to give you. Are you ready for it now?" She was still screaming at me. I attempted one more time to get her the information she was wanting, but she wouldn't stop talking over me. I even paused quite a few times so she could just say whatever other nonsense she had to say. Eventually, she hung up out of frustration. I reiterated a few times that I want to help her, but I will not fight for the right to speak over her. "Looks like your roommate may have broken the roommate code. Maybe it's time to find a new one. Your mom might have called the landlord about more than just rent payments. Looks like she's not following the 2 years 1 mouth rule. My friend wants to be with me and I don't know what to do. Me, 18 male, and my friend, 18 female, have been friends for a few years now. She's not the kind of person I would ever become friends with normally, with us only really becoming friends because we were both total outcasts during school. After a while, she became someone that I knew I could talk to about anything without judgment. Even though I enjoyed spending time with my other friends more, I probably trusted her the most. Recently, she sent me a message saying that she likes me, saying that she's incredibly attractive to me both romantically and sexually. She started going into detail about how she's fantasized about having sex with me, and I felt bad that she was being so honest with me. So I decided to tell her that I have also imagined sex with her, which is technically true, but it was only a couple of times, and probably just because she was the only girl in close proximity to me for so many years. We talked more and more about it, and she says that she doesn't want to date me because we would just never work together, but she does want to have sex, get more intimate with me. I was never fully against the idea, so I didn't shoot it down. The problem is that I'm absolutely terrified of intimacy, despite how much I've wanted it for years. We decided to meet up, trying to get a little bit closer before committing to the idea of sex. We only cuddled a little, and she kissed me a few times on the cheek, but by the end, I was shaking and felt sick for the rest of the day. I really don't think I'm very attracted to her, personality or looks-wise, but I still care about her. I know how much I mean to her, and I really want to make her happy by giving her the intimacy that she's always craved. But I'm also afraid of that intimacy. If just her kissing me on the cheek is enough to make my body have a physical response, I don't even want to know what would happen after sex. Maybe this could be a good thing though. If I can get over this fear with her, it means it won't be a problem in any future relationships. I just feel awful for going this far with someone I'm not even attracted to, and I feel like I'm too far at this point to call it off without hurting her. I'm scared that in the future I'll regret losing my virginity and having my first kiss with someone I didn't love. She's told me we can take it as slow as I like, or I can completely stop it if it makes me too uncomfortable, but I'm just so conflicted about everything. I was wondering if anyone here could provide any help or advice. Thanks. You should disclose to her that you struggle with intimacy, apologize for misleading yourself and her into thinking you could have sex, and ask if she would remain friends because her friendship is valuable to you. It's important to be kind to yourself and your friend. Be completely honest with her and explain your feelings and concerns, as often sex either turns into a romantic relationship or ends the friendship. Maybe you can come to a compromise and just be snuggle buddies until the next thing comes along. Remember, it's best to lose your virginity with someone you love and care for, not just to do it. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.